The Team Never Quit podcast is brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Partner with Navy Federal Credit Union to pay down credit card debt. Learn more at Navy. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Team Never Quit podcast. Before we get started today, I'm going to start us off with the Patreon question of the day, which is, if you were going to time travel, which time period would you like to go to?
Ooh. That's hard for me. I feel like I should have been born in like the late 1800s, or maybe I'm still just very connected to an ancestor that was from that time period, because my interests are all very old school. I like to garden. I like to grow my own food. I like to do the canning and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very pioneer-like. I feel like I need to, if I was going to time travel, I would go back and live a few days in that time period.
Yeah.
It depends. Am I single or married?
Oh, here comes that
Single.
rational brain. A whole bunch of questions. Are we allowed to do that? Because I mean, that's
If I'm single, I want to go back to the Roman era. I want to
That's what I
go
was
start
thinking.
conquering on one
and I'll
side
tell
of
you
the
exactly
world
the job I want.
and finish on the other. Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm married, 1840s, 1850s, load up on a prairie schooner and take my family across and make my way.
Yeah. Head west.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
What about you, Rick?
I had an answer. He messed it up. The whole white thing.
All rednecks have the same answer.
The same answer. There's something unique about
you
in the
would
movies that we
be-
watch with 1955. Remember Back to the Future? Everyone always goes back to 1955 America.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like if you could live in that time frame in America with our tech,
Yeah.
'cause everything,
Yeah. That was
neighbors are still
That
neighbors.
was the coolest time period.
It
in
was,
America.
right?
Absolute coolest.
The cars,
James Dean.
all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The way they dressed, everyone
Shit.
even was in a suit, hat kind of deal,
Mhm.
man. It
Yep.
was everything was everything.
So I feel like you would have been in like Alexander the Great's army.
Okay,
or
I said if
something.
we were married, I'd
Front
go-
line.
If we're not, then I'd have to go
Yeah,
way.
that's why I started off
Yeah.
single or married.
Yeah.
Single or married.
Like
There'd
you
definitely
would,
be a time frame where the fighting thing was going, the fight, feed, and breed thing.
yeah,
Alexander would have been a good one.
yeah. Like
Wouldn't-
you,
that'd have
you're
been a real good one.
one of his big warriors that travels on horseback with
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
just slaying.
Slaying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as being a Hun, but I want to go visit a board and fight.
Yeah.
in the middle.
That's something real mean, dude.
Yeah, Jesus.
I mean, they're real mean.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to let an animal go through their lives.
Yeah,
Yeah, they like killed gophers
God
and stuff.
dang, man.
Yeah.
That's why they're so good.
It's like
I don't know
killing
about
for the sake
you.
of killing.
Come on, man.
I kind of agree. I would really like to be around that Roman era because of all the times that we've been over there. I mean, it's so easy to fall in love with just the history, how rich it is, and the culture over there is breathtaking.
Yeah, Hunter has traveled a lot in his life ever since he was. I think I took him to Rome for the first time when he was 9.
Very nice.
And we went back as recent as this past June and many times in between. So he's gotten to see a lot of that part of the world. And it really is neat being able to actually like see the
Mhm.
history. So that is cool. The Roman stuff is really neat.
Mm.
What about you, John?
I would like to see, I think, ancient Egypt in its glory day.
Oh,
Like who put the big one there?
Who put the big one there? I'd like to go back and see.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, just to see that.
just to see that take place.
But you wouldn't want to be one of them that's
Yeah.
That's
actually
building
Yeah,
it.
not
like
that
that
we're ready to
around.
get there.
Yeah, I don't know that would be the best
Like
experience.
to check
in the
by and
world.
go, what are y'all doing with them big rocks?
Yeah.
Come back real
Not-
hard
not
though.
actually be a rock mover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, either that or 1955, I think, as well, because there's
Ima-
this futuristic thing about that era that
You know how many different
was so
movies talk
cool.
about that particular?
I know.
That's my grandparents were in their prime at that time.
Yeah.
So like my grandparents, both my sets of grandparents got married in 1955. So that's like when they started their adult lives. So anytime I hear that year, I always think of them.
Yeah.
And actually, my grandpa died yesterday, but there's this picture, his his senior year high school picture, and he legit looks like Fonz. Like, or what's his name, Fonzie
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
He has the leather jacket with a white
T-shirt.
just plain old t-shirt.
White T-shirt.
Everybody did.
And he just looks so cool. And my
Hair slicked back.
yes, and
Blue jeans and chucks, man.
yeah, both
That's
of
it.
my mom's parents and my dad's parents actually grew up in the same area. And my mom's mom and my dad's mom competed against each other in beauty pageants. In high
Oh,
school.
in Louisiana, like the towns are named after our
Yeah.
people.
So
kinda
it's
that's why
really-
you knew you can marry because you just go to the town.
Yeah,
next door.
I actually
Check
have
the
a
town there.
picture of both my grandmas in a beauty pageant, and one of them won first place and the other one second. In
That's
this
fantastic.
beauty
And the
pageant.
town has been divided ever since.
You hit the genetic lotto. You hit the
Isn't
that-
genetic
Been the
lotto.
same.
But isn't that cool? But it's that from that time period. Like
Yeah.
those pictures were probably from 53, 54.
Wow.
And it's just those really pretty dresses that are like
Yep.
tied around the corset and then
Could you
float
imagine?
out.
Hey,
I just think
the
that's
town
so
is
cool.
great still. Christmas time, it's all
Mhm.
lit up. And they had a
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
tank at the
Yeah, the
when you
military
walk in there.
memorial has an actual army tank.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's just a
What
great
town are we talking about?
Cottonport, Louisiana.
Okay.
It's a
Never been there.
tiny
No,
itty bitty- nobody
no,
knows
you,
about
no,
it.
you hadn't.
Okay.
If you don't have family there, there's no reason to go. But I love it. To me, it's a magical town, and
It's a town, and I think that's the cool part about 1955 is you still lived in your town.
Right.
Like the grocery
Not a
store
city.
was it?
It was a
Right.
town.
Town,
Yeah.
yeah, and
They
everything
actually
was in
call it a
there.
village. It says the village of Cottonport on the when you pull
It's
in.
cool, man. The movie theater was in town. It's kind of like
Mhm.
Yeah,
it
the
just-
library. Actually, the library is named after my great grandma. She
The
was the
town's named after
librarian
her.
for 50 years.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. Anyway, so when I hear 1955, that's immediately where my brain goes.
Yeah.
If I'm time traveling, I want to go back further than that.
I see that. I think if I really had the ability to time travel, I'm gonna have to answer that question about the pyramids and Egypt and the
That's
whole
a good
thing.
one.
I want to go
But
back
you
and
know
see
what?
it.
Dang, so we were watching Lonesome Dove the other day. The boys and Texas Rangers back when that was.
Oh,
How much fun would that have been
man?
for us? I mean,
Can you imagine though how the one single thing that nobody gives credit to back then is the weather.
oh, bro,
Could you imagine?
Shit, always
You-
outside.
Yeah.
The
Man.
norther that came in here a couple of months ago,
Yeah.
when he just went like from 60 to 5.
Mhm.
You're out there riding your horse, this, that, and the other. Oh, wind blowing.
I had that.
It's
thought
5
that day.
degrees.
It's that chill out there when you walk outside and it's punches you in the chest. Like you can
Mhm.
feel that sucker, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
What
kind of
about
stuff.
When you had to go number 2, I feel like back then that would have been the worst thing. Getting on a horse, like
That's where the
there's
term
nowhere to
steamer comes
go.
from. 'Cause, man, you get that
Exactly.
sucker out of there. Go lick.
And you know what? But you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That young man, both you, can't imagine not having a telephone.
Yeah.
Nobody, I mean, I'm 10 years older than you. Nobody, when I was growing up, could have dreamed, if you weren't Captain Kirk on Star Trek, that you would have something in your pocket to talk to somebody else with.
Oh yeah, communicators.
I remember when cordless phones came out.
I do too.
Cordless, just a cordless phone. It was like sliced bread. It changed the world.
But look, I mean, really, if you're Lonesome Dove, if you're in that time period and you've got to go number 2,
Okay, so that happens
You
this
just go-
time frame too. When we're
It
out in the
does.
field, if you're on a mission,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised. You can go along.
You
It
can
just
drop
shuts
trout.
down. Yeah, and if you got to go, you take care of your business.
oh, I've been to Uganda. I know what it's
Okay,
like
all
to
right.
be a little
yeah,
primitive.
so
Have you returned after a run with half a shirt?
There you go.
It's awful.
I've done that.
I'm just saying, like,
Half shirt.
That's it.
but
It's a
living that
necessity.
every day.
That's a
would
man
be
card
so
qual.
hard.
It
Yeah, I
is.
mean, we need
That's
to
right.
put that down too. Like,
Write
write
that
that
down.
on the board
Yep.
for board Wednesday. It's like, here's how you get a couple things.
Yep. Return from a run.
No,
half a
dude, that's
shirt,
hilarious, man. I forgot the
Our only-
sock or the dumb.
Or only one sock.
Sock.
Yeah. Yeah. They always joke that the dryer eats the sock. It's really
No.
the
Hell
sock
yes, the dryer.
gets
Yep.
thrown.
Wait a minute, hold on. That's top secret, man. We don't even let that.
Oh
one
my
out.
gosh.
Right.
Okay, never mind. If you find an old sock in the woods, do not pick it up.
Do not.
Yeah.
You know.
Why do you think there's always the chip clips go missing and there's always one?
Right.
Gross.
That's awesome.
Nice. And let me introduce our guest over here. Today we have one of our very good friends that we want to introduce, Sidney Blair. Sidney bleeds blue, starting his career in law enforcement, doing everything from SWAT, gang unit, detective work, switching over to Homeland Security as an Air Marshal, then retired, and now is back to being a cop. Sidney has lived a life of service, and we're very grateful to have him on. Welcome to the show, Sidney.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, man.
Glad to be here.
So, we have this mix of guests on our show. Sometimes it's people that are very public and everybody knows, and then sometimes nobody knows who this is. We wanted you to come on because you do have an incredible story of just service. It really is awesome. And you just retired. Everybody had a big retirement party for you. And then how long did that last? A couple of weeks and you're back at work.
Maybe
Yeah.
a couple of weeks.
If you can just start off your story of why you chose law enforcement, maybe start off with like where you came from, where you grew up.
Because people always ask too when we're in the public eye and the high vis thing.
Yeah.
Like, who is that?
Yeah, who is
Yeah.
that?
Who's that?
Where are you from?
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Where were you
from
born?
a small town. I was born in Navasota.
Yeah.
Navasota. So born in Navasota, and was as a little boy, we lived in Huntsville, which was a big, big town to me when I was growing up because my father was in the grocery business. My dad had Piggly Wiggly, Mini Max.
Are you
Jiffy Mart
kidding me?
grocery store. No, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
You left that part out. I did not know that. The Piggly Wiggly thing is funny as hell, man. There's only one of those that I know of left in Louisiana.
It's in Cottonport.
Cottonport.
We have a Piggly Wiggly in Cottonport.
Okay, true story. My first paying job that I ever had, I was the pig in the 4th of July parade down Sam Houston Avenue in Huntsville, Texas, walking along with a big plastic deal on my head. Yeah, true
Oh
story.
my
Do we
god.
have
Remember that being a
pictures
big
of
deal going to
My
Piggly
dad
Wiggly
paid
with my
me for
grandma. I was like, let's go.
If you go to Mr. Hamburger in Huntsville, there are still ads that my dad wrote on the wall in Mr. Hamburger from my dad's Piggly Wiggly grocery store in Huntsville, Texas.
Oh my gosh.
True
I
story.
did not know that.
I didn't know y'all didn't know that.
There's also the fact that the gentleman that's in here now, we grew up together years apart.
years apart.
Same location, same path, years apart.
A couple of young men were the bane of my existence as
That's
a young
right.
patrol officer in Willis,
But
Texas.
you needed to look at it from a younger, older brother perspective,
Right.
but
Right.
it made it a lot easier for us. All right, that's Navasota than Huntsville. I forgot.
Okay.
Navasota, born in Navasota, just because that was the nearest doctor to where my parents were. But where I grew up was the little town of Lovelady, Texas. I graduated from Lovelady High School. Graduating class of 30 people.
Yeah.
Little bitty graduating class, small town boy, rambunctious kid, basically the same way you grew up, going out, pasture parties, doing all that stuff, working hard, playing hard. That's what I did. And probably don't come from a family of law enforcement or anything like that. A lot of my family, of course, we lived around the Huntsville area, worked at TDC and things like that. Had a really good friend of mine who passed away a few years ago. His name was Eddie B. Hutchison. His dad, Eddie B., had been a DPS trooper way back in the day. Remember seeing pictures of him and stuff. And I thought, man, that's cool. I just like uniforms.
The troopers are great at that.
Mhm.
Troopers are great at uniforms. They
Man,
look great.
I
look
was
like a recruiting poster.
There's our Marine Corps here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
When you
Without
see
question.
them, I was always taught to be scared of them. Them and the Rangers. When
Yep.
when you see them suckers walk up, you're like, oh shit.
That's it.
Like when they pull
to
you
this
over-
day.
Yeah.
To this day.
If you get pulled over by one of them, don't
Yep.
just say yes, sir, and answer the fucking questions.
Yeah.
Don't do anything else.
Yeah, when like Steve Jeter comes to talk to me, I'm
Oh,
still like,
Jeter, dude, that freaking guy, man.
I'm in the presence of
Yeah,
Steve
ah,
Jeter. Yeah. He's a Cal Ranger now.
Good for him.
He's a Cal Ranger. Good. For
There's
him.
some
He's still
some
at
of the men we had running All right, I'm
He's
digressing.
still at it.
We'll get on some topics like
But
that.
anyway, from Lovelady, Texas, the first time I remember I thought I might want to go into law enforcement, because I was a heathen growing up. I'm going to tell y'all, when I had to do my top secret clearance, when I was a Fed, I'd have to do my top secret clearance every 5 years. And one of the on your top secret, one of the things you have to answer is, what's something you did that you were never caught at, never convicted of, anything like that, but there might be a crime. I used to bootleg whiskey. I used to bootleg liquor. Houston County was dry, and I used to smuggle it in my truck. I'd smuggle beer and liquor.
Oh, we're right close to Bible Belts. At midnight, you stop drinking.
That's it. That's why at the Trinity County line, that's where they sold all the alcohol, because everything north of there is dry.
At the
That's
Trinity.
where I grew up.
Yeah, at the Trinity.
God forbid, statute of limitations.
We had to get our asses and drive a long way. Just to, by the time you got there, you
didn't want to drink.
You didn't want to drink anymore. It's so damn long of a drive.
But anyway, I was coming back from Trinity. That's where I worked. One of my dad's grocery stores, the Minimax. I was a cleanup boy in the meat market. I was coming back, and there was a girl that had a wreck, and she hit a tree. She was kind of pinned in the car. I got out, the first one there, helped her out, did the right thing. I was, because of course back then you could drive when you're 15 years old. I'm 15 years old in my dad's farm truck. Pulled this girl out, and it was a girl I went to school with. Her name was Melissa Wallace. Her brother is the sheriff of Trinity County right now. It's Woody Wallace. He's the sheriff of Trinity County. Pulled her out of the car, asked her if she was okay, this, that, and other. She was okay. She was banged up. But she hit that tree. Her mom and dad got there. And they were like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I was like, I'm driving along my old farm truck later on. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Feels good.
It feels good to help someone out. And that was the first time I can remember thinking, man, it wouldn't be bad to be a cop. Then I thought, I'm actually kind of a criminal, so I probably should straighten myself out if I want to be the popo.
There's got to be a place for us.
Yeah.
So wait,
they found it, right? We found it. Yeah.
At 15, you were smuggling alcohol?
We call it smuggling. I mean, that sounds bad when you use that word. Bootlegging is a lot cooler way to say that.
Sounds bad.
Smuggling.
Bootlegging in a 79 Chevy pickup with a 454 engine, you had souped up, sounds a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Okay, but you were like a little teenager. It's not like you were 21.
No, I was a kid. I started doing this like that. Like I worked in Trinity, and people would be like, "Oh, you work in Trinity?" I was like, "Yeah." And they go, "You know so and so over there?" I'm like, "No, but I can find him." And they'd be like, "Go see him, man. He got something for me." They'd give me like a case of beer, and I'd bring it back over there.
So we had to start driving at 15 too, and that was so we can get our old man's whatever. 15 years old, because I lived 18 miles from the nearest city limit sign.
Oh my gosh.
We lived down in the country.
Our old men were smart, because at that age, if we got busted, then it's be like,
Yeah. You know what happened if you got
We're
busted?
just couriers.
They took
at
your
15.
beer.
Yeah, they just took it.
They took your beer.
Actually, they wanted to catch you, so they didn't have to pay for it.
Right.
Oh my
And I know that because we're adults now, and I know the cops.
And I'm a cop now.
I know those.
I'm a cop now, so I can say that.
Dude, they take that from us. I never thought about it out loud before.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's where I'm from, and from there, went to the police academy. Knew that college wasn't for me. I started going to. I went to both Sam and Texas A&M, but didn't graduate. I mean, I was terrible. I went to the Dixie Chicken more than I went to A&M.
Awesome place.
Yeah, and went to the police academy. Started in narcotics.
That's what they called the police academy, was the Dixie Chicken.
Yeah, literally went into narcotics right out the gate, and then worked as I was what they would call now, after I did a little stint in narcotics, came down here and was what they call they would call now a school resource officer. I worked at the schools and stuff. That's how I know Thornberry.
Yeah.
How I know Thornberry. He was one of my students.
Oh my gosh.
I'm that much older than everybody. I mean, I'm 57 years old this year.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, went from there, Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. When I went to Montgomery County.
Yeah, but the way we kind of looked at it is like we had an older one of us with a gun.
Yeah,
and a uniform.
That could kind of keep you out of trouble.
Yeah,
and the thing about
that was the best part, man, is you weren't total. Yeah, that's
this whole group of kids. They weren't all the people that surround Marcus and Mojo and that whole group of kids. They weren't terrible people. They were a little rambunctious. I'll never remember pulling up at a pasture party one night, and I don't know whether it was you or Mojo, but they were standing on this dude. I pull up, everybody's sitting there. They put their drinks down because nobody has a drink in their hand when the cops pull up. They're standing there and they're standing on a dude. And I'm like, hell, and they go, oh, this guy, he slapped some girl or whatever, this, that, what, and he had weed in his pocket. We threw that in the fire. They're just standing on the dude, waiting on the police to get there because he was creating a problem. They just solved the problem. They just solved the problem.
Totally
but that's what you did back then.
I thought for sure he was going to tell a different story. No.
That did happen. That did. Yeah, it was both. Like
Yeah.
That's funny.
There was, but back then it was a different world. People handled problems, and once the problem was handled, it was over with. That's what attracted me to law enforcement. There were people that I arrested in law enforcement. There was a guy that I shot one time that I saw later on, and he was like, "Man, I was a bad guy back then, and this, that, and other, and all this." And he was still locked up when I saw him. I mean, he's wearing a poop bag and everything. I mean, it changed his life. But he found some Jesus while he was in there and got off dope and everything.
Thank God, because I want to shoot your ass again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we do it around here.
Yeah, it's a good thing I was a bad shot back then. Right? You don't want to run into me now.
Oh my gosh.
That's kind of what drew me into law enforcement.
How do you get? So when you go through the academy, because it's different from the big cities to the country to how people think. Well, you can't believe what they think about us out here in the country. The sheriff's still on a horse with the freaking the posse and all that. But it's like you get selected. We have special units and everything, just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Check. I went to the academy. The academy that I went to was over in College Station. They had an academy over there. It was they had instructors from different. It evolved into what now is TEACS. It's now part of A&M over there, where they have a regular deal. But this was prior to all that. But you all go to the academy. In Texas, a peace officer is a peace officer is a peace officer. Yeah. Whether you're a game warden, a state trooper, or a city cop, or a county cop, or whatever, you have to go to a base academy. The cities have their own academy because they also teach you city ordinance and this, that, and other. But you all have to learn this base thing. It's kind of like when you go in the Navy. You go in the Navy, everybody goes to basic. You're going to go
exactly
basic.
how you want to. I want you to explain that.
Yep.
Most people don't know that.
Yep. Okay. You're going to go to basic. You're going to get your basic stuff out of the way. You're going to be the popo. You get your basic on. Back when I became a cop, they literally handed you a key to a patrol car, put a guy over in the passenger seat for about 2 days, gave you a key map. Do you remember key map?
Yeah.
The orange maps.
I was great at
Okay,
key
I was wanting to get one of those. Do they still to get those just to have them?
We still have some at the agency I'm at now. We had a whole box of them. They just threw them away. I'm like, y'all got to keep one of those.
No.
Yes.
We got to get some of those. I'd rather hand my kid that and be like, figure this out, then I'll give you that phone.
Dispatch would send you out.
Yeah, is that how you got good at that?
Yes, I was so good
key
at
map pages?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I would like even for
she
my
can find her. I mean,
can,
you can't believe it. She can find. It makes sense now. That makes complete sense.
Key maps, for people that don't know what that is, because not every city had it.
Right.
It was literally a spiral notebook that had a map on every page, and the page was numbered.
Yep.
And you can go to the index, which
number and letter.
Yeah, which
would tell you
what you can look up by street or by town, and then you go to that page, and you would literally have to piece it like a puzzle where you were going. So you'd have to flip pages and like paperclip them together of where you were going. And when I was a kid, my dad, I don't know why he did this, but he would make me almost as like we would just be at home. There was no reason to do it, but he would make me like try to find point A to point B. I needed to get, tell him how to get from point A to point B. I freaking loved that. So in my crew, I was always navigation. I was always the one. I really was.
Thank God, because I can't find my ass in a hole in the ground doing this around the water.
Like I had key map and I could find anything. And
she can.
I think that should be.
All right, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
So you came in with a key map and a key, and you just went. You're the popo. You do whatever, and what we did in, 1989, 1990, when I started being a cop, was, and I tell young officers this today, you did exactly the same thing you do today. Your job is to protect and serve. You go out to the good citizens of your county or your city or your state or your federal jurisdiction or whatever it is. You protect them from any evils that exist, including themselves, and you serve whatever they need. If they got a flat tire on the side of the road, or if somebody's attempting to ambush them out of the bushes, it's your job to handle that. That's it. It's simple. The rest is just paperwork.
All right, is anybody else out there having a hard time with their fitness goals? Not gonna lie, some of us at T&Q are starting to plateau with the same old fitness routines we always do. But with the Fitbod app, there's so many features on it. It keeps the workouts fresh and fun, and it's really got us excited to hit the gym every day with some real passion. We at T&Q are all creating new challenges for ourselves, holding each other accountable, and the progress is real. For anybody else that's hitting a wall, or if you just need a little bit of motivation, you definitely need to give Fitbod a try. You can try it on your own or challenge a friend, but just keep each other motivated. Best part is, if you sign up now, Fitbod is offering a 25% discount to a subscription, and you can try the app out for free by entering fitbod.me/TNQ. Keep up your fitness habits with the personalized workout program from Fitbod. Get 25% off your subscription or try the app for free at fitbod.me/TNQ. That's fitbod.me/TNQ.
But in being a cop, and I love being on patrol and stuff like that, but I always wanted a little bit more than it offered when something cool came out. Like, I'm a gun guy. I like guns a lot. And, I saw we had a SWAT team. And I'm like, oh, I want to go do that with them guys. And I went to SWAT school. I signed up to go to SWAT school. And I went to SWAT school. And I remember the very first day I went in, the guy's like, man, you're going to make it through here. I'm like, oh, I'll make it through here.
That's the secret word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. And you know what the guy said to me?
As soon as they say that to you, that's
and you're
how
going to
you
make it through here. I'm like, what do you mean I'm going to make it through here? No, you too fat. I was like, let's see about that, buddy. And I did. I made it by the hair of my fat chinny chin chin and learned to get in shape after that. Because I'd been out of the academy long enough that a lot of police officers will become calorically challenged. They stretch that old belt gear a little bit. And I had done that, but I learned that put me in shape. Anyway, my career path led me. I was a patrol officer. I became a supervisor on patrol. I went to SWAT. I spent most of my career at Montgomery County Sheriff's Department on the SWAT team, which at the time it was an overall special operations group. Yeah. We had negotiators. I went to FBI negotiation school, went to sniper school, went to gas school. I was everything, all those things. Again, talking about running together, and I end up in a training facility in Lake Corinth, Mississippi called Mid-South Institute Self-Defense Shooting.
Great school.
Shaw's Place.
Freaking great school.
So I'm at Shaw's Place, and the first time we rolled down there, and there's a set of SEAL teams down there. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And that's where I started running into some of the team guys. And again, we just started, this person, this person, this person. And when I would train and go to schools, and I got to instruct different schools at HK and all over. I instructed for Def Tech. There's various things that the military and the police are, even though the posse combatant, you can't,
that's the one thing right there. That's
thing.
It.
But you run across each other. You know what I mean? Knew some of those guys, started running across some of those guys and stuff like that. The special operations of police, such as SWAT and things like that, have so much kinship with special operations of the military. We would do the same thing. I mean, when they come down to train, we'd play OP4 for them and vice versa.
You do the exact same thing back in our town.
Yep.
You tell these young kids coming up, and the great part about living out in the country is you get to do the big city things. They send you there.
Yep.
So you get to hang out in the city and meet all the city boys, and you come back and live in your town to do what they sent us overseas to do. And it truly is. If you think you get respect by bullying somebody and keeping them in fear, that's one thing. If you strap up to protect them, you can't believe what that does. And if you give the kids like we had at a young age, you get to see it just for a glimpse, just for because showing them fear, that takes a long time to condition a kid to be mean, to keep that going. Right. It doesn't take very long if you show them the cool part, like we were taught, they'll want to do it, no matter how tough it gets, because there's something that goes with it.
Fear is forced, respect is earned.
Yeah, right.
And I'm telling you, you asked me earlier, when did I first get into law enforcement? My entire life, I've detested bullies. Detest bullies. I don't care if it's a mean guy on the block who's bullying other people on the block. I don't care whether it's somebody in the household that's bullying family members that he shouldn't be. I don't care if it's one of the most powerful men on earth that is bullying one of his staffers. I'm going to not tell the story of when I was a federal agent, but believe me, I don't put up with that either. I detest bullies. I do not like bullies. There's no place for them in society.
Mhm.
That's just my belief. And I believe as police officers, our job is to stop people from bullying other people. If there was no bullying in this, and I'm not talking about the bullying where he touched me and made an offensive gesture in my direction or something like that. I'm like truly using your power or whatever it is to make someone else do your will and they don't want to.
Mhm.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Two of the best ones to hunt down.
Yeah.
I feel like, to me, the best police officers are the ones when they see an 18-year-old boy walking down the street,
Mhm.
they pick him up, give him a ride.
Absolutely.
If they're
18-year-old
going the
anybody walking down the
same,
street.
if they're going down the same route, just
Mhm.
say you need a ride. Or like you said, you see if someone with a flat tire. I had a flat tire one time,
Yep.
actually recently in the last 3 years, on the freaking highway,
Mhm.
and called my little OnStar. They said they would send an officer. The guy just sat in the car. He just for the so the traffic wouldn't. He just had his lights.
No.
And I'm like, come on. Help
Inexcusable.
me. So then they had to send somebody else to come and actually change the tire. I'm like, I know this guy can change a tire. But yeah, community service
Mhm.
is part of being a law enforcement.
It's all of being
I
law
can't remember if it was you telling me this or this is a while ago, but I've used it a few times on stage. They were talking about it was at the academy, and they were doing the training, and it was raining outside. So I was like, man, I don't like being in the rain. I was like, I get that. There's a type of human that doesn't.
Right.
That doesn't make you a bad person. We have one that wants to be a cop and will stand in the rain.
Mhm.
We're going to use that.
Right.
No offense, right? That kind of deal. People get bent out of shape when you go into any of these places and you don't. It's not that you don't qualify. It's just like, hey man, we got something designed for this.
Right. There's a place for you. This is just not it.
Yeah. Not only will you be happy, everyone else will be happy.
Right.
Mhm.
As a police officer, in the back of my patrol car, and I'll tell you how varied. This is just my opinion of how a police officer should be. In the back of my patrol car, I have extra ammunition. Of course, I have extra guns. I have extra body armor. That's in case I have to rescue someone, and I have strapped body armor on people before and ran out of houses with them because we were taking fire from a house next door. That's why I carry extra body armor. Everybody's like, oh, you got more body armor? Yeah, I got more body armor because somebody else may need it one of these days.
Mhm.
Something else that I carry tools. I carry a jack. I carry an electric impact wrench that I can change people's tires with and stuff like that, because your job as a cop is protect. It's simple. It's protect and serve. Somebody breaks down on the side of I-45. If you're broke down on the side of I-45
Yeah.
and you got a carload of kids or just you and a friend, it's not that you don't have the ability to change your tire.
It's dangerous.
It's the fact that I'm 6'1", I weigh 250 pounds, and it's easier for me to change the tire than it is for you. And common courtesy dictates that I change your tire. Plus, the government is paying my salary. You pay taxes. So my job is to get out there and change your tire.
Yeah.
There's ones that want to do that.
Yep.
Like drive around looking for shit like that.
Yep.
Mhm.
And if you don't want to do it, I was a field training officer for a long time here in Montgomery County. If you don't want to do it, police work is not the job for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got something though.
Yeah. They can go somewhere else.
That thing's shifted. We got all kinds of units now.
Well, you know what? It is what it is. I mean, I was on SWAT. We had SWAT because you have to have a specialized unit. You've got to have somebody who comes in when the police can't handle what it is.
Mhm.
I mean, we had a little short story. We had just the other night. I now work for Walker County Sheriff's Department, Huntsville, Texas. We had an issue the other night. I won't throw any names in or anything like that. We had an issue the other night where an individual had just spun off, went to left field. I mean, just crazier than Charlie Melton's dog. That he was way spun off.
God damn, I'm gonna use that. dude.
Exactly. Exactly.
How long have you been sitting on that one?
Since
I
about
mean, you
the
delivered
second-
that really smooth.
Since about
too,
the
bro.
second time I
You-
ran into that dog, I use it quite a bit.
Ragnar's the
dog
craziest son of a bitch
has
on the planet.
That dog's
Literally
nuts.
popped every ball I've ever bought for my kids.
Hey,
He's great, Charlie.
so
Freaking love you.
I was at an event and they auctioned off
Holy shit!
seeing that
I
dog
just left there
jump
when
up,
that happened.
jump up and
Ate all
bust
the
all the
balloons?
balloons. Yeah, bust all the balloons. That dog was busting balloons 7 feet in the air, jumping and just having the time of his life.
Oh, and
Anyway.
I just tore into his ass about that too. Charles,
Yeah.
he goes,
Like you're not going to break him from it if you train him to do it, you knucklehead.
Or keep
Every
him in
one
a
of 'em.
kennel.
But
he went through every one of those things too.
But dogs take the personality of their owner, so there you have it.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? That's what you did with Charlie. Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
That
Sorry,
is
so I ran a
hilarious.
rabbit trail on that. But anyway, this guy had and the guy had some weapons, some serious weapons, and he had decided that he wasn't going to jail, that he was done, and he had saddled up on an elevated position, and he had enough weaponry that he was going to do what he was going to do when the police showed up. Police got called there, and I literally got on the radio and went, "No, do not go there." I stopped in a location far from there. I jocked up, got all my gear that I carry because I carry serious gear. I got all my serious gear that I carry, got a thermal, got night vision, got all that stuff, got out there, crept up, took me a while to get up to the house, got in a secreted location where he couldn't see me no matter what he had, trained to do what we do. See the guy's head. There he is. He's armed. I'm seeing what he's fixing to do, this, that, and other, and all this. You know what I did? When he made himself known, when he was encroaching on where he thought those other officers were, called out to him. Sheriff's Department, put your hands up now. Had he not put his hands up now, he'd have been done. He would have been done. But he put his hands up. He gave up. Smart of him to do so, because he got cut down if he hadn't. But police have to have that. Police have to have the ability to call that. I happen to be the guy that had that ability that night. That your regular cop coming out. That's why SWAT exists. That's why SEALs exist. The Navy's great. The Navy's great at a lot of things. Big Green Machine is great at a lot of things. Our military is great at a lot of things. There comes a time when you got to call a specialized unit. That's why SWAT exists. And because of my history that I have and the training that I have, the years that I had on SWAT, I'm able to do some things at a small local agency that can't afford that kind of training. They just can't. They can't put $1 million in somebody.
Yeah.
That's why I went to work there. That's why I chose to go to work there, because I still have some fight left in me. I still want to serve my community. I still want to help the people that need help. And that, my home, where I'm from, I mean, I patrol the area that you grew up in. 4 Knots Road's in my area.
I know.
Oh my God.
And-
Still, my kids are on the ground.
Exactly. But they don't have the ability to hire someone or bring someone in with that kind of training and stuff, because they're not, but there's guys coming back from overseas. There's people with that kind of,
Oh, they already have it.
that have that kind of ability to do those kind of things. And since police now are up against those kind of things.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
Oh, hell. That's a completely,
We
yeah, that's a completely different topic altogether,
Yeah.
man.
I mean,
That's-
when you get somebody with a skill set out
Oh,
there, you
shit.
got to have somebody with a skill set.
Said take them down.
Yeah.
And you can't believe what we brought back with us.
Yeah.
So are there programs for like veterans of special forces to be able to integrate into law enforcement?
And
when
for
they
the
get back?
younger communities,
Yeah.
like they can't afford it, is there enough revenue up top for the big ones that can just suck those guys in there for, like, if you bone them, absolutely no, they come from a department
I'm
that's
gonna-
2 dudes.
I'm going to tell you, if you're looking for big money, you're not going to get it at a small
Yeah,
department. It
no.
just is what it is.
No, I got that. Because of that, shouldn't they just be able to come in and sign up for it? And
You'd hope, but a lot of guys, I mean, if you're a full-time SWAT guy, you work full-time SWAT job in this cool department, you get all the neat stuff and you got AMRAPs, you got all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you're not going to work at, Mayberry.
that's when we go out there. That's where you drop all that. It's like, where's your stuff?
Right.
I broke it. But
When-
if we went to Mayberry, we dropped it off because they needed it. That's what we always do that.
Exactly.
That's why you want
And
to
that's
work
the
with
only
them
way you
too.
get it.
That's the only way they can get it, and they learn. And we hate doing that.
I mean, around here, I'm gonna toot your horn a little bit, okay? Hurricane happened. Hurricane Harvey happened. Whole world is collapsing. Everything is flooded. There's no way to get around anywhere, anything like that. What do? Got on the phone. Hey man, what are you doing? You able to get out? Yep, we're able to get out. We're
Yeah,
going to get a
we
big
were
truck.
having fun doing
We were
that.
having fun, but to us, it's fun.
Yeah, that was a
To
blast.
those people, it's the end of their life. We all saddled up in a truck and drove down and drove
Everywhere.
around. Every barricade, everything. Marks is in the front seat. Marcus takes my federal credentials and holds them out the window.
That's the
My
best.
federal
dude.
agents. We need to get through. Federal agents. We need to get through.
Don't tell
True-
that part, man. Yeah,
True
okay.
story.
Yeah.
True story. That happened.
Dude, it was
That happened.
Dude,
That's
we had a
awesome.
blast.
But we go downtown
Fucking A, man.
and help out whoever we can help out because these guys are here. They have the ability to do rescues. They have the ability to help people to do things that the city or the county or the village or wherever can't afford to get that kind of help. You just can't. There's programs for small cities to get, people look at it and they go, oh, they don't need these military things in here and this, that, and other. Okay, 99% of the time you don't. But the day you do,
Check.
you do.
Especially if you got the qualified people living in there. Like
Yes.
if you're men and women that have the quals, you might
Yep.
as well have it sitting in there.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, if something happens exteriorly and you want a soldier to have his gear,
Right.
check.
Right. That's a whole different thing. But that's what I bring to the table. When I went after I retired, I was working at Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, and then 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened. A couple of the first phone calls that I got, I will never forget the morning of, everybody's got their 9/11 story. Morning of 9/11, I was dead asleep. We'd had a SWAT call out. We'd been out till like 4:00 in the morning. My wife calls me and she's like, I don't know what happened. There's a plane hit a building and I think we're at war or something like that. Again, turned on TV, saw the second plane hit. Boom. Didn't know the world was going to change. From there, started getting phone calls from a lot of people that I knew in special operations, stuff like that. Hey, what are y'all doing? Because we're, the police special operations people, the SWAT teams are. And what are y'all going to do? This, that, and other, and all this. There were a lot of ideas out there right after 9/11 to make things safe because they grounded all the planes. All the planes, they go to the ground. Nobody's flying anywhere. They were going to there was a lot of things out there, but one of the ideas they were going to put SWAT team members sitting in the front in the jump seat. Just sit somebody there with a gun. SWAT team, military, whoever you can get, somebody to make things safe. World's got to move. People got to travel around. From there, somehow it evolved into a couple of guys call me up and go, hey, man, they're putting this program together. It's called Federal Air Marshals, and it's going to be highly trained folks flying on planes. We'd like to have you. There were 300,000 people who applied for those jobs. I got a phone call before the applications came in. There were quite a few of us that did. Other guys that became Federal Air Marshals that I'll throw their name out. Chad Robichaux, Craig Sawyer, Norm Hooten. This is my safety, sir. All those guys all became Federal Air Marshals right after 9/11.
Oh, sure.
I was one of that group of guys. Now, a lot of them went back to their old life real quick when things weren't bad. But that's what we were doing. We were putting together looters and shooters to put them on airplanes and to get it moving around. So I was one of those original guys that came in. I saw that was going to be my next service. I was in the middle of my police career, highly successful. I was a sergeant on the SWAT team, had all that in a bag of chips, 2 little kids and mom at the house. And I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm going out here. Don't know what I'm doing. Don't know where I'm going. You've heard my wife say it a million times. Where are you going? Classified. I can't tell you. Everything I did for 20 years. Hey, Dad, where are you going? Can't tell you. Classified. I can't tell you. I couldn't tell anybody where I was going, what I was doing. I could tell them after I got there because you didn't want to compromise the mission because the missions of United States Federal Air Marshals are classified. I know now these days people talk about a lot of things they shouldn't talk about and stuff like that, but you were never supposed to tell anybody where you were going. You were never supposed to tell anybody what you were doing, the gun you carried, where you sat, anything like that. Everything deeply, deeply classified with the Air Marshals. That attracted me. I went there, became an Air Marshal, one of the very first ones, then became an instructor. I instructed the other Air Marshals coming in and stuff like that and spent, 19 of my 20 years strictly at the Air Marshals and went over at the very end of it. When COVID happened, everybody got pulled back. I did the majority of my career was spent either training other Air Marshals or as a counterterrorism operative overseas, flying on planes wherever. I mean, you get on a plane and fly for 17, 18 hours one direction to Sydney, Australia, or to Lagos, Nigeria, or wherever. And then maybe there's something to do when you get there. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're just flying around. Or I got on a plane in Houston, Texas, and flown to College Station.
My gosh.
I mean, you never know. There was no boredom.
Yeah.
But did that. And then just before the
So is there somebody, when you're an air marshal,
Uh-huh.
is somebody actually giving you your flight schedule, or are you mapping that out?
No, you get a schedule. There's an operations place
There's an
that
operations
how it's
command.
scheduled and all that stuff. It's classified as to how it's done.
Sure.
But you get a schedule.
You know how
but
tied in that has to be to move operators like that?
yeah,
God,
Yeah.
I mean,
you know the cool thing, if you look up when Air Marshals
because
started,
everyone just thinks that's that one deal. When you hear that, people have this conception it's like that's a one thing. That's not how it works.
the original Air Marshal program were called Sky Marshals.
Right.
They were started by John F. Kennedy, and the line item budgeting that came in at the exact same time as
We did.
the Navy SEALs.
Oh,
Exactly.
really?
Yep,
So, if you're an air marshal and you see someone that you believe is suspicious, do you have a way of just reporting them if they didn't do anything on the plane, and you're like, just kind of flag this person for
Yes.
future?
Yes, it's classified, but yes.
Yeah.
And they also can communicate from the air, before anybody else could communicate from the air. We had some really, really cool stuff that we could use that was like air to ground communications and stuff like that, and all kinds of.
You know how
They
much
spent
good
a
stuff
lot
we
of-
got,
Yeah.
all the tech. Think about this. As soon as we got hit, all tech resources shifted to us.
Yep.
As soon as think about that.
Yeah.
And they opened up the door, the golden cruise box, golden Connex box, whatever. That means something to all of us. The golden mill van, each one of those men, when they open that up, means what do you want? And if you got an idea, we can get it.
As a gun guy, my job when I was an instructor up north where we trained air marshals in the advanced air marshal training, my job was, because, there were a bunch of instructors up there and there were different jobs. Who wants this job? Who wants this job? You can kind of pick your job if you're good enough to. And I was a really good shot. I've been a firearms instructor for a long time. I'm, suffice to say, I'm really, really good with a pistol. And they're like, yeah, there's a pistol range out here and it's shooting the steel range. And I was like, oh, I'm your huckleberry for that, buddy. I'll stand there and shoot steels all day long. First day, they came out there with a skid steer and pulled up with a 55-gallon drum and put down a 55-gallon drum of Spear Gold Dot ammo.
That's fun. Dude, that's so much fun.
And they were like, yeah, there's going to be classes come through and y'all are going to shoot this today. And every day they brought me a 55-gallon drum full of Spear Gold Dot ammo. A Sig Sauer P229, which they don't carry it anymore. I'm just saying it's not classified anymore. A Sig P229 in 357 Sig will spit out about 60,000 rounds before the barrel literally burns out in the gun and the bullets start tumbling. Because I did it time after time after time. Sat there and shot guns and taught other people how to shoot guns for a living. We were magnificent. Like you said, the golden Connex box. They opened up the cash register and said, whatever you need. And when the air marshals were put together, it was absolutely the highest level of training with handguns that exists. Our standards were second to none.
Oh, look, we got to shoot.
And
Yeah.
The reason why we do that for y'all to listen, why would you put that much effort into that kind of shooting? Is like because where you got to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Where the
surrounded
gunfi-
by civilians.
Where the gunfight goes down is in a containment up in the air.
Yep.
With civilians around. So
187
put it to you like
feet
this:
long, full of people.
if you got a line full of dudes shooting at you, the air marshal's the last one you want shooting at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The air marshal standards, firearm standards for the Federal Air Marshal Service is the highest that exists. There's no other federal agency that has the handgun qualifications that they have.
Space Force might have it.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? It'll be laser guns,
right?
though. Laser guns.
Holy shit! If you get on that detail, if your ass is still rolling when Space Force, I'm going with you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
To bring some levity to everything, I just watched Bridesmaids 2 days ago, and one of the funniest scenes in there is when the girl's next to who she thinks is the air marshal. I thought that scene was so freaking funny.
Do you know who he is in real life?
Funny.
It's her husband.
It's her husband.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's her husband.
I just found that out.
I think that's one of the funniest scenes. And it made me actually think, I wonder if Sidney has ever had an experience where someone's called him out.
When y'all get deep,
Someone said, "Are you an air marshal?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what do you say?
Everybody had their story. A lot of people had the shut up story. Like we had one guy that would tell them he was a drug dealer.
Oh my gosh.
And they would just stop talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Just like say something that they don't want to know anymore. Like,
We had other people, and they're like, why are you sitting in first class? I have some sort of disorder. They can't figure out what it is, and I'm going to try to get treatment for it. People just quit talking to you.
Oh my god.
So you don't have to worry about it anymore. We have other guys that are like, what do you do? Well, I'm in the adult entertainment industry. What do you do?
Oh my god.
Into that conversation.
recruiter.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, I'm a recruiter. But yeah, I actually had a guy who recognized me from being a deputy sheriff in Montgomery County.
Oh man, that's like some.
And it was in New York.
That's like some Donnie Brasco shit there, man.
Yeah, I get in the plane and he's like, hey man, what are you doing up here in New York riding in a first class seat? And I'm like, I don't know this guy from Adam. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? He goes, man, you're a cop. I go, I'm not a cop. He said, yeah, you're a cop. You're a cop in Conroe. I'm not a cop in Conroe. And he pulls his hair back like this and goes, yeah, you are. You did that to me.
Oh my god.
I had arrested this guy years ago
for the rest of my life.
and he had resisted somewhat, and I used a piece of available equipment to use as an impact instrument, and he deserved it. It was one of those guys that he told me the story, and I remembered it after he told me. He was in a big old fight. We were trying to pull him off. He turned around and hit my buddy. I tried to pull him off again. He wouldn't come off. Tapped him with a light. But after that, he quit drinking, got straight, stayed out of bars. Yeah, saw the light.
Yeah, you know when it's
Saw the
called
light.
being straightened out. When you see them do this number, when they straighten their
Yeah.
body out.
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah, but
gosh.
I got recognized on the plane more than once. Would get on, everybody in the world knows, my family and stuff. And there were family friends that had got on before, and they'd be like, I forgot, I can't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And they'd literally in front of everybody go, I can't tell everybody I saw you. They'd be
I
like,
can't believe what comes out of our towns.
Yeah.
Like these little surrounds.
Yep.
Running
people all
Lake
over.
Yeah, man. Lake Conroe, Huntsville, that whole. Which, for those of you who don't know, in Texas, that's our prison. That's where we keep the row,
Mhm.
death row.
yep, that's it.
So if you get brought up in there or you get schooled in there,
I
Yeah.
think Air Marshal is such a cool job because you just don't meet a lot of people that are Air Marshals, and nobody ever talks about that. So I think that's just
There's
such a neat-
very, very few of them, and it's humorous that since I've been a real cop again twice, we've dealt with people that went, "Oh, I'm an air marshal," and the guys that are deputies on my street will go, "Really?" They'll bump me on the radio. Hey, come over here and such. Hey, how you
there's
doing,
probably
man?
1 degree of separation with y'all.
Yeah,
Has to be.
if one.
If one, absolutely.
Yep. And I immediately know when they call, just like if somebody calls you and goes, "Hey, I met so and so. He said he's a Navy SEAL," and that
You can usually sniff it out, but
Yep.
if you can't, then
I pick. We have a little text message that runs around me, him, Mojo, Brad, all of us. I sent out a message one
The
day.
flies on that thing.
I sent out a message one day, and I said, "Hey, man, there's a dude that says he was a Navy SEAL and he was recon, and he was Special Forces, and all this, that, and other, and all this."
It just comes in.
He and Mojo immediately called me. "Don't jack with that dude." I'm like, "You don't even know who he is?" "Oh, I know exactly who he is." They knew what I was talking about before I ever said the name. Said,
Oh
"Yep,
my
guy's
gosh.
legit. Don't jack with him.
We
He
had
will
one
kill
the other day
you
like
and
that.
all your friends."
Oh my gosh.
We had another one like that the other day. I was running the trap zone. He was on Nightingale.
Yeah.
I think I tried to call everybody, and finally one of the Rangers hit me back. He's like, "Don't know how it's possible. Dude's legit."
Yeah.
That's all it said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They show up, man. Some of them, they're just like,
But yeah, Air Marshals, they're here. I mean, the thing about it, they're retiring like crazy right now. There's a lot of them that retiring because again, it's a 20-year career, and it's a hard career. It's a hard career. They spend a lot of time in airplanes. The Air Marshals do a lot more than just fly on airplanes, though. All the Joint Counterterrorism Task Forces have Air Marshals on them. When you see they're part of the Viper teams, the Visual Intermodal Protection Reaction teams that stay at train stations and airports and stuff like that. They're standing around in body armor, sometimes long guns, stuff like that. Those are Air Marshals. The Air Marshal program has evolved. And when I left, I had 20 years in about 5 minutes. It was during COVID and stuff. They had transferred a bunch of us over to the Secret Service and gave us just a real quick down and dirty school. Hey, all of a sudden you're going to go over here. And I literally, when I went over to the Secret Service, federal agents are federal agents. I didn't realize Secret Service did this, but they have they used to call them OTAs, other Treasury agents, that during times of buildup of agents, they would call in from other places. I didn't know that happened. when I went over to the Secret Service job, I immediately went over, and my first detail was we were at Kamala Harris's house day one.
I remember when
They sent us over to their house.
I called you when you were doing that.
Yeah, because he called me. He goes, "Hey, dude, we're going to come up here and act like we're rushing in and make you look good. You can tackle us and stuff." And I'm like,
Oh, yeah, dude.
"No,
As soon as
bro.
I got the word.
No."
Bro, where are you at? He's like, I can't tell you. I was like, you're there. I knew it.
During the campaign, we're coming down here to Houston or whatever, and he and Mojo are like, "Dude, we're going to act like we're rushing in there and you can tackle us and you'll be a hero and stuff." Dude, don't do that. Don't do that. No, it's not like the movies.
I was going to come in, Mala.
No, don't do that. But anyway,
gosh.
finished up after the election and stuff. Everybody kind of went back to where they were. I went back to the Air Marshals from my detail over at the Secret Service. When I was detailed at the Secret Service, I was actually sworn as a deputy U.S. Marshal out of the Southern District of New Jersey. I still have those credentials for that. Yeah, it was a legal
Nothing's
thing.
cooler than when we do interop. Because we eat that up in the teams.
Yeah.
I mean, like with the DEA, sometimes the guys like,
Just get a little.
we'll
credential
say
for
the
them.
line.
Yep.
Pulling up to order something at a fast food restaurant. Let me get a Big Mac, and I'm DEA, motherfucker. You know, we would live it up.
Yeah.
No one thinks y'all's jobs are cooler than we do, especially when we get to play with y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, we just own that.
But from there, and I was Secret Service with the Secret Service. I never went through agent school, but I was with the Secret Service on that detail during the run up from the campaign through the election up to when they had the inauguration. When they were inaugurated, I went back to the Air Marshals.
Oh, so let me tell you what happens if you run into somebody. So they have the Secret Service detail, and then they'll pull us in. We're the bastards.
Yep.
So if you run into a bastard and start talking shit, they'll whip your ass because they're not a part of the whole crew.
No, who are you? Secret Service.
But we'll damn sure exactly.
Yeah.
Who are you with? Secret
Yeah.
Service. Make
See-
sure you
yeah.
say that.
See this pen?
That's true. That's a real thing.
So
Yeah.
it's similar to like when in the SEAL teams, like when someone
Yes, just like it.
attaches, like does the deployment.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
just
just
attach.
like
Someone
it.
attached. Yeah, same way I was
Just like it.
attached
Strap
to-
hangers,
Yeah.
attachments,
Yep,
bastards,
exactly.
whatever you want to call them. man.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It's
and
real cool.
Retired. And one day I'm coming home from work and I show up at my house, and why are all my buddies over at my house? And Marcus and Mojo and everybody has me a retirement party. So I have a retirement party from the Air Marshals
That he didn't know about.
that I didn't know about.
We didn't know that he didn't know.
They even flew a buddy.
Yeah, how about that? We didn't even know that he didn't know he was retiring.
Flew a buddy of mine in from Albuquerque, New Mexico, that I was on the team with 20 years ago, that flew in just to come to my party. And the whole time I'm sitting there going, man, this is so cool. All my buddies are here and this, that, and other. How do I tell them I'm not actually going to retire? I'm just going to another job.
But did your wife know?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. She knew. She knew. She knew I was going to go do something. But I just decided, I wanted to finish strong, get about, I don't know, 5 years in as a street cop. Because like I said, I still got, I'm 57 years old this year, but I still got a little fight in me. When I went and applied to be a police officer, I know guys in that department that I've known that are the head honchos. I know the sheriff, the chief deputy, and them, known them since we were kids.
We all grew up together.
I didn't tell any of them I was applying. I went into the guy who was doing the applications, had no idea who I was, walked in, handed him my resume. He looked at me, and I remember him looking up and going, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
He looks at my resume and is like, what the hell are you doing at Walker County Sheriff's Department? I said, "I want to be a patrol deputy." And he goes, "Okay." And I went through the whole, they have the testing procedure where you got to run, jump, do all this, go through the academics of it, and this, that, and other. I went in, bunch of young, hot kids and this, that, and other, went in about, I don't know, dozen or so of us. Starting off, at the end of the day, there's 4 people standing. I'm one of them. I went through the whole qualification of everything. There's guys.
It's better doing it that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't want to be that dude who rolls in and just kind of
Didn't want no pool.
Shit,
Didn't
no,
want
man.
nobody.
Start at the
Now,
bottom.
the one thing I did do is on my background, when you're calling my friends, so I put down on here, Marcus Luttrell, Morgan Luttrell, and all these other, Brad Thor. I mean, people that were somebody, senators and stuff like that.
You wouldn't believe our crew.
Yeah.
It's so damn diverse. We got a writer in there,
Yep.
a congressman, a cop,
Yep.
thug,
Yeah.
a singer.
Couple of those.
I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah. Diverse friends.
That's yeah.
But anyway, when they look at that, of course, there. So anyway, I go to work for Walker County Sheriff's Department. I'm a patrol deputy. Love every minute of my day. I mean, I'm excited to go to work hour
we live
early
in
every day.
paradise, so I mean,
Yeah, we do.
There's
We
that.
do. And I love rolling around, literally riding around, helping people. That's my job, man. I ride around and help people out. That's what people look at police officers as. You know, you look up in the rearview mirror and you go, oh shit, there's cops. And cops are out to help you. The
Yeah.
real cops.
Y'all don't teach us that because every time I look in my rearview mirror, I see the same thing.
I do the same, dude. I do the
Side
same
windows,
thing.
I don't say that. If
Yeah.
you're in the rear view,
Yeah, been a cop for 30 something years, and I still, oh shit, that's cops. But you do, man. It's the best job.
y'all should put that
ever.
on the front windshield of the cruisers.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh shit, it's cop. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. But I love it. I love my job. I love every second of everything that I do. I couldn't ask for a better job. It will be very hard for me to step away from it. But the day that I step away, I'll close that door and I'll be done. I'll be done. And I have made the deal with my family because I missed a lot of family time growing up. That when my grandkids are old enough to know what's what, I'm not missing anything.
Oh yeah, check. Well,
Not missing nothing. Not
Yeah.
a thing.
And you're right though. It's driving around. I remember when we get out of school or get off work, we would get in the vehicle just to drive around.
Mhm.
It's so cool out here.
And now you get to drive around and you got a gun and lights and something goes out on the radio
Oh,
and you
right.
never know from minute to minute what's going to go on.
Like
Yeah.
the game guys, they get to.
Yeah. The
Dude,
radio
they got a
goes
boat.
on. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, some of
man.
the guys got the coolest toys.
They do.
Man.
They do. Like a
What
game
was I
warden.
Join the military.
If I could, but
stupid.
I wasn't in a position to be a game warden. I needed to be a real cop, a regular cop, because if I'd have been a game
No, I
warden,
could, yeah, same.
I'd
I
have
couldn't
stayed
have
in
been, man,
trouble.
I'd have been in trouble all the time.
I'd have stayed in trouble.
Like the real redneck kid. Actually,
Yeah.
probably the half-ass redneck kids. I mean, you can't. Like some we couldn't do that.
Game
Yeah.
wardens have the most
They got some
power
cool, man.
out of any, don't they? They have
It's like the barefoot driving law. Everybody believes it because you hear it so much.
Is
But
it?
in Texas, a peace officer is a peace officer is a peace
Okay.
officer. They don't have any more rights or privileges than anybody else does, other than
They
they can
can-
ask you for your hunting license.
and they can walk up on your land like it's nothing.
They got to have probable cause to do it.
An
You can't-
animal.
You can't just openly. Yeah, it got to be hunting season. They can't just like there was the old legend way back when that they can go in your house and open up your freezer and check for whatever
Yeah,
anytime of that.
that's
No,
what
they
I
can't.
always thought. Like
Absolutely.
can
They
just
will
go on in.
down in.
Oh, they
I mean,
will.
they
They'll
fucking
figure out a
will.
way to do
That's
it.
that's where that comes from.
Oh, I'm going to tell you. and-
Don't try and test them on it.
I'll throw a secret out there. I actually had a bet.
Yeah,
I've had a bet with people before. They're like, "Oh, you can't get in whatever if they don't tell you you can get in your car and whatever."
Shit.
I'm not going to violate nobody's rights, but I guarantee you, I've been doing this over 3 decades. I can figure out a way to do what I need to do.
Look, there are
Legally.
levels too. Each one of those stand. You hear something about a certain type of officer here in Texas. I don't know anywhere about anywhere else.
Mhm.
Just there's something to it, and that's from our rangers all the way down to our game guys to the troopers.
Yep.
Man, they're just
You learn your job and figure out how to do it. They're just really, really good at it. But you can't just willy nilly decide I'm gonna walk up on somebody's property and check them out.
Yeah. Well, I love that your never quit is that even after a 30-year career, you're back. You started at square one and you didn't do it just by pulling a card. You actually went through the school and you
Yep.
did all the things like you were just a brand new guy off the street.
And that's what I know that even, I mean, I may run in here and go, oh, I got 30 years, whatever, because I hadn't been a street cop in 20 years. I needed some training to do that. And I trained myself back up to do it. I went through a little supplemental police academy
oh well, that was there was
in my spare time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I came back and went because because the Air Marshals is a pretty exclusive little thing. When you're an Air Marshal or any kind of federal agent, when you retire, buddy, they are standing out there with buckets of cash looking for you. The NFL, the WWE, I can't tell you the jobs that I turned down. Big 6-figure jobs. Come do this, come do consulting, come do this, come do this. No, I want to go be a street cop. I want to start at the bottom and I want to work my way up because my true belief, and I'm, like I told you, I'm the last of the true believers. You should serve something larger than yourself if you have the ability to do it. There's people that don't have the ability to do it. They don't have the training to do it. They don't have the opportunity. I do. And I truly believe that every community deserves somebody to give back to them if they've gotten something from them. Like I've heard the story from you and your brother about what your dad told you. You are going to serve this country in some way. You should do the same thing to your community. You have the ability to serve your community. I know that when Hurricane Harvey happened, You guys were out there giving out clothes to
Mhm.
people. Being a cop is no different from that. That's all I got. I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
I got being a cop, being a specialized cop, being a very experienced cop.
Yeah.
But
it's a nature thing too.
yeah,
Ability. You said, I hadn't heard it said that way, but that's right. Because you can get in, you train that up, but it's also it's in your nature.
yeah.
And some people don't have the right, for whatever reason, you try to do a job because you think it's cool because your
Mhm.
buddies, man, but there is a difference.
Yep.
So will you be sheriff one day?
No, absolutely not. I've been asked that 1,000 times. If you ever see my name,
Morgan's hold on now.
I'm telling you never.
Well, I'm holding. Just don't say. Morgan's a freaking congressman. What are
You're
you
right.
talking about, Sheriff?
But you know what? He should be. He should be. He is the most qualified for that
And
job.
you should be the
can't
sheriff,
think of a man-
right?
No, absolutely not.
If she's saying that out loud,
Why
If you
would
ever
you
see-
not want to be sheriff?
If you ever see my name on a campaign sign, it's graffiti. I promise you. It is graffiti. I will never. There are some people that have,
it'll be written like that.
there are some people that have skeletons in their closets. I have my own graveyard. I promise you. No, I'm kidding. I have no ambition whatsoever to be any political figure of anything. I like being a leader. I like training other cops. I like helping people out. I feel that I'm very good at what I do because I'm not political. I cannot be political. I don't have to be politically correct in what I do. I separate right from wrong. It is, laws are black and white, but there's a huge gray area in the middle. My chief deputy, one of the best cops that I know, I'll throw his name out here. His name's Tim Whitecotton. Tim Whitecotton has been at Walker County for 32 or 34 years. The same agency. Started there when he was a teenager. He and the sheriff both started there when they were kids. But he told me something. It was probably the most accurate thing I've ever heard about being a police officer. If you have never stood before a man with a badge and handcuffs, and he held your freedom and your future in his life, in his hands, and he gave you a break, and you knew what a break you got, if that's never happened to you, you ain't qualified to be a cop.
It's true.
We used to be the roughest, toughest images we got.
Yeah. When it's time to be rough and tough, but you also got to have a soft spot.
No,
for
to
it.
get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that usually happens to those guys.
Well,
Like,
you have to
they're-
have a moral compass. I mean, you
Yes.
see so many things like what's going on right now on the news
Mhm.
with the cops that beat up that
Yep.
young man. Like,
Going to prison forever.
Oh,
And should.
that was fuck.
it was so effed up.
They're
Like,
going to prison forever.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
They were not. I mean, I'm a hand-to-hand combat instructor. Okay.
Well, that's
You can-
why
I
I'm
mean,
pissed off because of that, dude.
we've-
Man, I
We've
saw that. I was
fought
like,
before.
fuck.
I mean, we've wrestled on the floor and this, that, and other, and all this. I can hold my own with anybody. There was those guys right there. They were not looking to take that guy into
Did
custody.
you see them?
From second one?
Oh,
From second one, I'm telling you, they were
Yeah.
not looking. And I have had a number of conversations with young deputies. My department, there's young deputies that I work with that are in their young 20s, and they were talking about, I don't know what to do, and this, that, and other, and all this. And I said, you know what? This is what you do. You see someone get out of hand. I don't care if they're in uniform. I don't care what kind of star bar, bell, or whistle they got on their collar. You pull them off. You physically remove them from the scene. You throw them in the back of your car if you got to, but you save them from themselves. Everybody's going to go a little far at some point, but you got to know when to back off. You are not judge, jury, and executioner, and you sure are not going to use another human being for a punching bag. I don't care what they did. Whatever the guy did in the beginning, there's nothing he could have done to deserve what they did to him. And anyone who does what they did under the color of office, they should be executed in town square. That's my belief. And I would say that to their face. No one that I know of, no man or woman who ever became a police officer ever had in them to do what those men did to that other man.
whatever had them jacked up like that?
Mhm.
I mean, you were talking about like rabid dog status.
Yeah,
You know how
that-
hard that when
yeah.
we're in that kind of
Yep.
do you understand what has to
That
happen
wasn't-
to us to get to that?
That wasn't their
freaking-
first rodeo.
Yeah.
How do you weed out?
It has to be trained. It has to be hard.
Bad
The academies and our life has to be hard.
Yeah.
You either have a standard or you have no
don't.
standard.
Dude.
So
And
does that lie within the leader of the police department or the sheriff or whoever they're working for?
There's a field training. There's an academy, okay? And the state of Texas does a very good job there is you will do a psych test to be a cop in Texas. There's an actual psychological exam that you go through to be a police officer. I would submit to you that police agencies, all law enforcement agencies, they have a culture. They have a culture. What is acceptable in that department? In that department, what is acceptable? Even in that unit, what is acceptable? A psychological exam has been done. They've been trained in the police academy, but when they go to their department,
that's different.
And especially when they go to a specialized unit, it's going to have its culture. Okay. SEAL Team,
call themselves?
SEAL Team 5.
The Scorpions?
Scorpions.
Look, when you're taking title and a name on something,
that's it. You become a culture. SEAL Team 5 has a culture. SEAL
sure
Team 4
do.
has a culture.
Damn sure
SEAL
do.
Team 3 has a culture.
The Sixers have one. Everyone does.
Yep. Gold team, black team.
And we act like that.
And they act that way. They act that way. Punisher team, anybody. You go, the
100%.
Army specialized units, Delta has they have a culture. They have a culture of whatever it is. That unit, that Scorpion unit, it was street crime, whatever prevention, acronym, whatever it was. It was called Scorpion unit. They were a specialized street crime unit. I used to work in the street crime unit here when we had in the mid-90s when gangs were, I'm talking about when it was Bloods, Crips, when it was gang banging, drive-by shootings, AK-47. Boys in the Hood. I mean, we rode around listening to Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. I mean, this was, I'm telling you, it was the day of the gang.
Riots in California.
Yeah, exactly. Riots in California. This was not too far post Rodney King days, but I worked in a specialized unit. You cannot act like the people you're after. That's what those guys did. When the very first, I know there's the initial traffic stop and then the guy ran from it and this, that, and other, not justifying the guy running from the cops, okay? But that cop gets out from the time they exited their patrol units. And this is an unpopular point of view with a lot of my fellow police officers. From the time they exited those units, they were out of hand. They were screaming, MFing people, pointing guns to, fucker, don't let me do this. Fucker, don't, every other word, this, that, and other. You can't do that.
Them fired up, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Something's missing.
They were not the right people for the job. People like that. People that, look, dude.
Sounds like they're just sitting at, I don't know. I haven't seen anything else, man. I don't know
they're
nothing
shoving
about
a
it.
gun
I don't know.
on somebody's head. I'm telling you right now.
I don't know.
Be the guy wanting to take me into custody that runs up and puts your steel against the side of my neck. Buddy, I'm fixing to end you.
The bad situation.
You better hope I just get up and run. But I'm just saying, those guys didn't have the attitude. They didn't have what it takes to be a cop. And they are a stain on the badge. Anyone who does anything like that. There's cops out there that make mistakes. But my son, who is a police officer, said it best. He said that is a lack of leadership. Somewhere within the ranks of that agency, either that specialized unit or whatever it is, it became acceptable for people to do things they shouldn't have been doing. And those guys didn't care. I mean, that's their body cameras that you're watching. Yeah. You're watching their body cameras and the cameras out of their car. They knew they were being recorded when they did that. They beat a man to death and recorded evidence against themselves of them doing something horrible to another human being. That's not acceptable. We can't have those type of people being cops. I'd rather be 50 cops short on the street than to have one guy like that or gal like that on my police force.
Yeah, it's so hard because it's making it even more divided. There's this huge,
no doubt,
just culture right now.
Oh, we're definitely going through something
of like this anti-cop movement, and we have to have law. We have to have law and order.
Those aren't cops. Those are criminals with a badge.
We have to have the good cops that, like you said, will pull over and change someone's tire. Mm-hmm. If they see someone walking down the street, give them a ride, or, someone stranded in a parking lot, help them out. An actual community servant.
I will tell you this, it sounds like I'm recruiting for them, but at Walker County Sheriff's Department, that's what we do. That's what we are trained to do. That's what we do. We had a kid that came through field training that was a nice guy. He was a nice guy, didn't have a lot of motivation, this, that, and other. He didn't make it through field training, and he was like, I don't really want to do that. You know what, man? Go to work over here. You're going to work in the jail division or in the courthouse division or in the transport division or something like that. Something where you're not out on patrol or something. But just because they're not at that, I've known cops that have gotten themselves in trouble because they take an attitude to work. They get mad. They're confrontational the minute they meet with people. When you walk up on a car, when he approached that car, you're trained as a police officer to do what's called 7-step approach. Hey, how you doing? My name's Deputy Blair. I'm with Walker County Sheriff's Department. The reason I pulled you over is because of your excessive speed and erratic driving. Is there some reason you're driving like that? Yeah, no, maybe. I'm going to give you a ticket or give you a warning or help you out. Maybe you're trying to get your wife or your friend to the hospital or something. Maybe there's a reason for that, but I give you a reason for that. When I jump out of the car and I'm like, MF this and GD and gun in your ear and I'm going to mace you. Don't make me tase you and boop, boop, boop. Boot party when you get
what the hell's your damn problem? Pray to God, you better be, what's going on in there? It better be something cool.
You don't, that's not a police officer. No police officer. I've never, countless times. I mean, I've put people in handcuffs who shot at me, actively shot at me. Dude who shot me. I've arrested people like that. You can't bring that attitude. You are to protect and serve. You are a servant of the people. You've got to help them out. You've got to help them out.
It's so hard because you hear all this bad stuff and you see that kind of stuff on TV, but we know so many good cops like you and like the constables around here.
Sure.
They're so awesome. They're just good human beings. A lot of the guys down in Houston, we know a ton of really great law enforcement, and it's like we want to scream from the rooftops. There are good cops.
There are, and everybody knows there are, but people feed off of bad news.
Yeah,
people feed off of bad news. If it bleeds, it
your
leads.
attention.
Yeah, it's the shiny object.
You're taught to look at it. Well, do we need to pay attention to it? That kind of.
Well, they look at it and then they're like, okay, get rid of all of them. I
Okay,
hate
one
that
thing.
mentality.
One thing that I hope, and I saw this coming 20-something years ago. When you start lowering, like I said at the beginning, you either have a standard or you have no standard. When you start lowering standards to hire people because you want to check a box for whatever, we want a bunch of females, or we want a bunch of this, we want a bunch of this, or you want a bunch of whatever. Hire the most qualified people. I don't care what they look like. I don't care who they are. I don't even care. And I saw something that said, would a college education stop this? No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It wouldn't. I have nothing against college education. I admire those who have a college education. If you have a doctorate, good for you, man. You're way smarter than me. That doesn't make you have the intestinal fortitude that is required to serve other people on that level.
Yeah, because that degree doesn't apply for what you're trying to do.
No. Or it might. If it does apply for it, that's great. You can be in a command status. You can be a lieutenant, a captain, or whatever.
Oh, you can see them. You recognize them immediately
Yep.
when they get into any position, especially at the lowest rank. They're like, man, they'll work their way through. That's a thing. That's what that place is designed for, to see who does what, and pressure does that.
Yeah.
Or you can wait, let them get into the real scenario where that pressure won't come off, because our civilians don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Our Americans, they don't mess around, dude. They know the law better than we do, if not better.
Right.
And it's just
better. And we have people all the time. You go out to a noise disturbance or something. You're out of a noise disturbance. You're like, hey man, you need to turn the music down. And somebody recites to you, my music is not off my property and over 85 decibels between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Registered.
Yeah, I have a decimal meter and this, that,
in
and
the house.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, roger that.
But still, you know what public intoxication is? Because, buddy, you're fixing to go to jail if you don't turn your radio down. Because we're standing in public street. There's always a law around the law.
Our guys, they're great. Our people are great, man.
Civilians know the law as well as you do. You gotta enforce regulations within the bounds of those laws. I can sit here and say that I have never, in my law enforcement career, have I knowingly, intentionally violated the civil rights of anyone I've ever arrested. And like I said, I've had conversations with people I put a bullet hole in. I've had life and death struggles with people who later on became acquaintances of mine. Not saying I'm going to be friends with them, but acquaintances of mine. I mean, I see them. It's a small town. It's a small town. You're going to run into people. Here we sit right here. Yeah. A kid that used to be at pasture parties, when I was a young patrol officer rolling up. I mean, I could have come out there swinging a baton and spraying mace on people, and you kids get down. You don't do that. Hey, man, y'all got ride home? Don't get in a vehicle if you've been drinking. Be sure your parents know where you are. Be sure your girlfriend's parents knows where she is, and all this, that, and other, and y'all keep it down. Have a good night.
Don't make me call your dad Don't make
Yeah,
me take you
exactly.
home to your old man. I know, because the
Mhm.
sheriff. That's a problem in our town. The sheriff been around. They knew my father and my grandmother.
Yeah, that's it.
See you in church.
Yeah.
You know, he's like,
Don't make me, because I'm not going to take you home to your daddy. I'm
Yeah.
going to get your daddy out of bed and make him
Dude.
drive up here and get you.
Oh my god.
whip our ass.
Yeah. And it'll be on for you. And the worst thing in
Man.
the world that we can get, those people, and I don't know anything about those people that did that, but the worst thing in the world that we have is the breakdown of the nucleus of a family, that people don't have upbringings where they learn to respect other people.
Yeah.
I mean, what those people did, something like that, or just merely, the way people treat people nowadays.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day. There was a big fight went on. We went and broke up the fight and stuff. Remember back in the day when a disagreement started and ended with two people having a disagreement, you get in a fight, punch each other in the mouth a couple times, and it's over and done with.
Yeah.
Now it turns into a melee. Everybody runs in there. I mean, our buddies would be like, hey, this is one-on-one.
Yeah.
Let them get it done. Now everybody runs in there and sucker punches people and beat them up, kick them while they're down and stuff like that. And what happened to our society? I mean, even in disagreement, we can be decent to each other.
It's like, because kind of there was a time frame when the whole just sucker punching, just you couldn't do that anymore. Like there was no fist fights anymore. There was no solving it with your fist.
Yeah.
It was like timeout. You
Right.
know, you got put in timeout at school or whatever, or you get in school suspension
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
I didn't, and my kids didn't. I promise you, there was.
But
no
I'm talking
timeout.
about like right after our generation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
right after we graduated high school,
Mhm.
it kind of turned into that. Well, and then people's aggressions there's that fire inside you. Sometimes guys like this just have to get out aggression.
Soft times build soft people.
Well, and then it's like, well, if I'm gonna fight, they have to do it in groups because they're scared. It's like they're fighting out of fear now, not to solve a problem.
And they all look like they missed leg day too. All like little skinny people, and they're
Oh,
slapping
that-
around.
oh, dude,
Don't know
you
how to
watch
fight.
the videos when
Yeah.
you see them swinging the bat at the windows. You ever see somebody that swings
Mhm.
the wrong side, or they don't know
Yeah.
how to do it?
Comes out, knocks them in the
I
head.
mean, they're dressed the
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
They look great, but when they go to do their action, you know what you're looking at, you can see it. You're like,
Yeah.
But I would, people Hunter's age all the time ask me, oh, I want to be a police officer. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I'll ask them, why do you want to get in law enforcement? They say, oh, well, y'all make good money, don't you?
No.
That's the wrong answer. Actually, law enforcement today is pretty fairly compensated.
Yeah.
They it's not back in the days when
But that's not why
you were
do
on government
nobody-
assistance. Exactly. That's not why you go in.
Yeah.
Law enforcement, like the military, and I would say even the priesthood, it is either in you or it's not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, the peripherals of that might determine whether or not you're going to make a career out of it. If you make enough money, if you can advance enough, if your family will put up with it, if you marry somebody that'll put up with you being in there or something like that. But the initial belief I'm either going to be a cop or not be a cop is just like I'm going to be in the military or I'm not going to be in the military. You always knew you were going to be in the military, correct?
Yeah.
You knew you were.
I feel like if you're gonna go in to any kind of service
Mhm.
industry for the money or for the power,
Mhm.
you're just automatically that should be you should be just declined at that point.
Maybe. But also,
Yeah, I think if you go in, it's not immediate money. Like you have to
Right.
It's a long process, and then you get out and you built this reputation, but then it's solid though.
yeah,
and
at
then-
some point you got to make a living.
Yeah, you gotta make.
No,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
if that's your intention on going in, not to actually serve, but with the intention of
make
I'm
them-
just
yeah.
gonna-
Well,
we got them.
you don't need to be
They're
a
there.
financial advisor. I want you to be in it for the money
yeah.
because I want you to make me money.
Want to be? Yeah, we're gonna be an accountant
But
for law and order.
besides that, any
Yeah.
form of service that has to do with government service,
Yeah.
I believe that from the lowest level to the highest level, if you don't have and I said this before, honestly, one of my favorite books, I'm not touting the book here, but I'm going to a little bit, is the book Service, because you talk about a number of people in there and how they continue to serve, how they serve their community, how they serve their country, how they serve your service to others. There is no better feeling that exists than you helping out another human being.
Yeah, there's something that goes with it.
Yeah.
And it's different for everybody.
Yep.
And it's an actual thing.
Yeah.
It really exists.
When I was an Air Marshal, I can remember sitting there on the plane. And when people would get on the plane, and especially a lady, because again, I'm from Texas, I'm not being sexist, I'm just saying, a lady would come up and she'd be managing kids and bags and this, that, and other, and all this. And you get up, help her with their bag, put their bag up there.
Yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate it. That feels good. It feels good to help other people out.
I mean, I am such a strong believer in just chivalry. Like every man should have that. We went to a restaurant the other night. Marcus was in the car and me and the kids were walking out and this Addie was holding, my daughter was holding the door open for me to come out. And this man just shoves his way through with his family while Addie's holding the door. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing? I'm not going to have my daughter holding the door open for you.
There's something has started to turn in the world where people have become rude and where rudeness is accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And my personal belief is those people have not been punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
At no point in their life have they been punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
Because if you get punched in the mouth, right, wrong, or indifferent, it lets you know that another human being can bring harm on you.
Yeah. I got one for the tech guys, like the FS, the billionaires. Kids brought this wedgies. You got to bring those back.
Oh, Marcus wants to give him wedgies.
If I run across that dude, his ass is getting a power wedgie from hell.
You know, because it'll reset your hard drive.
I'm not kidding, man. Some of these freaking tech dudes, if they knew that was a thing,
I'm telling you, it'll reset.
I'll jerk
hard
your shit
drive.
so far up your ass, man.
Yeah.
You won't even want to mess. Just, dude.
You'd be singing Sopranos for the next 2
man.
weeks.
That's why you don't get out of line, man.
So funny.
I want to beat your ass. I don't want to fight men. All right. I don't fight. That's all I fight is men. You're not one of them. There's something else we can do to you.
There was always a pecking order. When I was growing up, and I know when you were growing up, there was always a pecking order. And that pecking order was created by you were either smart, popular, strong, whatever, this, that, and other. But that pecking order was created by what you did.
Created by God.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from. I mean, that's an alpha
And-
list.
And there's an alpha list. But even if you're not high up on that alpha list, if you're not 6'2" strapping warrior and this, that, and other, I don't care if you're the littlest person around. You can simply hold the door open for another person.
Yeah.
That is a form of service to help somebody out.
Yeah.
Help them out, man. Help out your fellow man. And in law enforcement, all you're doing is helping out your fellow man with the ability to take their freedom or, God forbid, their life if they're that far out of line.
Yeah.
But your job is just to help people.
Mm-hmm.
You're just helping people out, man. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't do a firefighter's job.
Oh,
I wouldn't. Running in a burning house? Nope, not my thing. Not my thing.
are you kidding me?
I'll jump in, moving water.
It's like
I'll
the
do
dude
anything
to
like that.
undo the bombs.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, EOD.
Ugh.
Yeah, Dakota Meyer and I had that conversation, and I'm like, dude, why do you want to run in a burning house? You know, I'm like, I'm all about swift water rescue and this, that, and other. I'm all for that. Fire.
I think
for me.
Coda told me, I was like, why do you want to do this? Like, oh, it's cool. No, it's not. It's hot. It's not cool.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not,
Dakota
it's not
loves
cool.
it,
It's
bro.
hot. All of our firefighter buddies do that. I hats off to them, man. If the house is on fire, I'm gonna be out. I'll call you.
Yeah.
I'll call you, man.
That you go, boy.
Yeah,
You go.
cheering you on. Hey,
I'm gonna have air conditioning going in my car when you get back out here.
Oh
We'll
my
wash you
God.
down, help you clean your
That and the
gear.
electricity dudes, man. You know.
Yeah, I don't do much electricity either.
That's
But
so funny.
yeah, but that's their thing. I wouldn't do their job. You know, everybody looks, oh man, how can you be a police officer nowadays? Man, how can you not?
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't register with me how someone who wants to serve their community cannot at least consider law enforcement.
Yeah.
And when I run into people, and I've had conversations with people, a person I graduated high school with is one of the highest level defund the police that you can imagine. She dislikes police on every level and this, that, and other. And I'm like, I don't understand. You and I are from the same place. We were treated exactly the same. Do we look alike? No, but we graduated in the same, you know, and how can you think this?
Mhm.
It doesn't register with me, but people are entitled to their own thoughts.
Right.
But defunding the police is a portion of how we got where we are. When you take away money from the police, when you take money out of their budget, I can tell you the very first place it comes from, training.
Yeah.
And when you fail to train people as police officers, you get the frustration that brings out
Oh, sure.
the
That's the one
animal
place
in
it shouldn't
people.
come out of.
Yeah. You
There's a
get what
schoolhouse.
you're seeing now on the news.
Yeah.
These kind of
Well,
Well, when
that's
dude, the
a
first
mental
time somebody
problem.
gets hit, it's completely different.
yeah.
The police academy should be the toughest thing you ever. Like every day, you should get hit in the
Yep.
face, and you don't know who
Yeah.
from. Like literally walking through the halls, going to class, you should be looking around the corner because somebody's going to smack you right in the grill.
Funny you should mention that because as a federal air marshal, that is an evolution of training.
Should
you
be.
know when you go in that at some point, because as air marshals, we trained on airplanes, we trained on slide ramps, we trained in any kind of environment. But at some point in your training, you're going to be walking up the aircraft, going to put your bag up, whatever, and somebody's going to hit you right in your snot locker.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not talking about a tap either. I'm talking about they're going to take your feet off the ground and you got to fight through getting punched in the mouth because, you know, if you're going to do something nefarious and there's some person that you suspect is in your way, you want to take that person out. You're going to have to learn to fight through it. But it's actually an evolution in air marshal
That's
training of getting
awesome.
hit right in the mouth unexpectedly,
Oh my gosh.
completely unexpectedly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on,
Yeah.
and we appreciate you and
Glad to
your
be here.
service and your never quit story.
We're just getting started too, man.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. Is
Well,
that
good luck.
enough?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
That is it. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. We'll see you next week.